You have to know these 5 things before you even consider buying into an HOA community in Florida. Most of the homes, especially new homes in Florida, are located within Homeowners Association communities. I'll talk about some obvious issues that you can encounter when buying and living within an HOA community. And I will also share some things that I've observed as a board member at one community for 5 years and another community for a year and a half, and also as a broker representing my clients, and also as a homeowner living within an HOA community. Before I even start going, through my list, one by one, the first thing is read the governing documents. I know it's tedious, but you're spending a ton of money buying a home, and buying without reviewing the documents and understanding what the rules are is just irresponsible. Another thing, before buying into an HOA, it is very important to look at their financials. So those are obvious things, but these governing documents dictate the rules. They answer the question if you can rent your property. They answer the question, how many times you can rent. Everything. They can determine if you can change the color of your garage door, or if you can not do that, or many other things. But let me focus on the thing that on my list, without spending much time on just the general idea and the intro. So the HOAs, first of all, economies of scale. If you have an HOA and if you have a landscaping company or people who take care of your grass, then they get a contract, and typically it should be cheaper than hiring some individual company to just come and take care of your home individually. So that should save you some money in theory, and in practice, where you have good boards, it actually works that way. Also, the same thing goes for swimming pools, gym, a clubhouse. There are sometimes tennis courts. So if this is community money is used for these amenities, then you don't have to build your own pool unless you want to have one, and in Florida many people do. Same thing for the gym. You can sign up for a gym and spend much more than going and using the community gym. So this is actually beneficial. Also, all the homes, if there is one landscaping company taking care of all the homes and the grass, then the homes look similar. They're typically very well maintained, and that maintains your property value. And you have no headache. You don't have to, cut your own grass. Mow your lawns and stuff like that. It's your quality of life. So, like I said, but these are obvious things. So let's go and see the rental rules. So this is something that's defined in the governing documents. And those rules determine if you can rent within a community, and when you rent, what is the minimum duration of the rental and how many times per year you can rent. Now, when you're buying to live in a community, you would think, okay, I don't want any rentals. I don't want people who rent in this community. I just want homeowners who live here and perhaps buy homes as vacation homes. And this is nice, but things happen in life, things change. And what if at some point you have to relocate and the market is down? You cannot rent it. You have to sell it, or it's going to be sitting empty. You're going to be paying taxes, HOA fees, the upkeep of the home, the maintenance, the utilities and everything else, and you cannot sell. This is something that's worth consideration. My take on it is, problem is not with the policy, the broad policy defined in the HOA. The problem is more with selecting right tenants. And there are tools. If used wisely, then you will not have issues with your tenants. I mean, you have to check their criminal history, you have to check their credit report, you have to check their rental histories, and there are tools available these days that can be checked. So I think in general, I tend to think that like a community that prohibits rental, period, okay, can backfire when you have to temporarily or maybe just completely move away from your home, and then you should have a couple of options. Another thing that can be defined within the HOA documents is rentals not allowed for a certain period of time after you buy. And these rules, I mean, actually in the community where I live, the board decided to change it last year, and the rentals were, completely allowed. There was no problem with that. They changed the governing documents, and now when someone buys a home, they want to make sure that this is not an investor, and they have to, the waiting period before you rent your home the first time is a year. So that's kindly, I mean, that thing discourages investors, because who would want to forego the opportunity cost and lose, $30,000 in rent money, buying and sitting on the property while paying taxes, utilities, and the things that I have already mentioned. So it can backfire. So my take on it is better to have quality rentals than a rule that you cannot rent at all. That's one of the things regarding rentals. Now, the second thing that I wanted to talk about is what is the monthly HOA fee and what you will get for it once you buy into a community. Because people say, what's the HOA fee? I mean, and then they don't look behind the curtains, okay? What am I getting in it? Okay, I'll give you a clear example. My HOA fee right now where I live is $232 per month. The board has already announced that they're gonna keep it at that level for next year. But for that, I get, they take care of my lawn, they take care of landscaping. There is a resort-style pool that's being maintained. There is a gym in the community. It's a gated community, so there is a gate to it. Yeah, so it also requires maintenance. So I'm happy to pay the $232 and not to bother with doing all these things on my own. Even though we have our own pool, but also once there is a community pool, the property values, it affects property values. It's even if you want to rent for some time, if the rentals are allowed, having a community pool in Florida, I believe it's a good thing to have. So the HOA fees, yes, you have to be careful and you have to be mindful of what they are. And very often, I've noticed over the years as a broker, I've noticed that when you buy into a new community, the HOA fees are fairly low to kind of incentivize people or encourage people to buy into that community. And then reality strikes, the new board takes over, and all of a sudden, there are things that need to be paid for, and the HOA fees go up. I've seen HOA fees at levels like $1,500–1,600 a month, and if your fees go up from, let's say, $200–300 to $1,000, which I've seen happening, your property value, that affects your property value, because people can afford certain monthly expenditure for housing, and if that expenditure is eaten but by the HOA fees, there is a downward pressure on the value of your home, because people look at their total monthly spending, basically what they can or cannot afford. Now, when talking about HOA fees, I already mentioned at the beginning that you need to review the financial statements of the community. It's a must. I mean, These two things, I mean, reading the documents and analyzing financial statements, it's very simple. And your agent or your broker or, should be able to do it with you. Those are not complicated documents. And you have to, read the governing documents and then analyze financial statements. In the financial statements, what I typically look for is, are their expenses reasonable? I mean, does the board spend the money wisely? And then one of the key things, does the community have reserves? Typically, when a new board takes over after a new community is built, the new board of directors should order a reserve study. And then based on the reserve study, this is like a looking forward study for as long as 20 years, especially when it comes to roads or fencing or roof repairs and stuff like that. That study is very comprehensive, and based on that, once the new board takes over, they should start charging people for reserves. And once you move into a community that has been in existence for a few years, you want to make sure that they have adequate reserves. And I'll talk about it a little bit more later. Let me do it right away without any delay here, without pushing it back. For example, if you buy a townhome in Florida, typically the buildings are for 6 units, 8 units, and sometimes in the governing documents, the roofs of the buildings are kind of, included in the HOA, and the HOA is responsible for replacing the roofs. In Florida, when you have a shingle roof, typically, 10, 12, 15 years probably, that roof is gonna need replacement. Also, if a hurricane destroys the roof or damages the roof, the repairs are needed. Now, once you review the documents, you're gonna see if that's the HOA's responsibility or if it's a responsibility of individual homeowners. And I strongly believe that this should be taken care of by the HOA, but if it's not in the documents, then you are gonna have 5, 6, 8 homeowners that each of them, if when needed, needs to chip in. And some people do not want to. What if one person is gonna tell you, hey, I don't care, I don't feel the roof needs to be replaced for whatever reason? They simply may have no money, or they may plan to leave the community. Their home may be listed for sale, and if it's not on the in the governing documents, if it's not defined as HOA being responsible for it, and if the HOA has not accumulated enough reserves to pay for the replacement of the roof, then it can create truly serious issues. Now, why I said that the reserves need to be accumulated from the beginning? Simply because if you live in a community, you may enjoy low HOA fees, but then when the reserves are not being charged every month, then this amount accumulates. And if people sell their homes before the repairs are needed, they basically got a free ride. So they were, so to say, they were using the roof, but they were not paying for it. So and then it can end up with a special assessment and create an even more difficult situation to many people. So analyze financial statements, see how the money is being spent, see if they have reserves, and see what you are getting in exchange for the money that you pay into the HOA month after month after month. By the way, some people tried not to pay it, and I'm not an attorney, so I cannot give you a legal advice here, but I can tell you, being a board member for a long time, there are ways and tools that basically can enforce the homeowner, can make sure that the homeowner pays what he or she owes to to the HOA. Very simple. And again, I'm not an attorney and cannot give you a legal advice here, so this is in just very general term. The board, typically sends a few reminders if there are some past due HOA fees, and then an attorney gets involved, and then they can put a lien on a property, and then when it comes to selling the home, there is a lien. They have to reimburse the HOA plus the attorney's fees plus the interest and all the stuff that you can think of. Another thing is the management company. That's number 2 or 3 I'm talking about. The ordering here is not that important. I hope the information is going to be overall valuable to you. So the way it works, there is a board, and the board is supposed to, in theory, supervise the management company that the board hired, and the management company is supposed to be responsible for day-to-day operations of a community. And here's the thing: is the management company reasonable? Are the processes well designed? Are the processes designed to serve the community, or to just force the community to do this or that thing? I've seen both. Okay, so first of all, even before you buy, communications. If you send an email, first of all, you call the management company because you just need something, okay? Do they answer the phone? Well, some don't. You leave a message. Are they calling you back within a reasonable, time? Do they respond to your emails? Okay? So those things, you can check that even before you buy into a community. Now, do they charge any additional special fees? What are the policies? Let's say you make late payment. Let's say your bank made a payment a day late. Are they going to charge you a fee? Are they going to inform you about the fee? What is that fee? Is it reasonable, or is it extraordinarily high? Things like that. What else? How do they deal with violations? What is a violation? Okay, like for example, some of the communities are very reasonable, and some other communities, the board or the management company, let's say you leave your trash can outside after the time that you were supposed to take it back, they can send you a violation letter, and then if you don't comply a couple of times, depending on the governing documents, they can fine you. They can issue a fine of $100. Whatever it is. I'll just give you an example: $100 per day, up to $1,000, for leaving a trash can out. But I'm talking about, this is like an extreme, but these things happen. It's good to know what management company manages the community and how they work. I'll give you another example of something that I find completely unreasonable and possibly even violating, the Florida laws. But who knows? This is not, fighting for your rights using, attorneys, it's another thing. But just let me quickly tell you about one community where I find the rules completely unreasonable. In that community, I actually own a townhome in that community, and I've done quite a few rentals for my clients in that community. And here is what happens. You find a tenant. Let's say I find a tenant for my client, do all the work, the lease, and sometimes these things, people want to move soon. They don't want to wait 2, 3, 4 weeks to be approved by the HOA. And so I do the lease documents, I do the screen the people, I see they have excellent credit, I see they have good financial standing, no problems with any criminal history, good tenants. Okay, I send it to the HOA, and they take their time to approve it. Now, someone may need, for whatever reason, to move in quickly. The owner doesn't want the property to sit vacant. They want to rent it as soon as possible. And that management company, according to instructions from the board or security committee, decides that they are not gonna grant access through the gate. So they basically, I mean, the property is legally leased. The tenant has legally has access to the home, and someone on the board, or maybe one of the committees, I don't know exactly, decided just not to let the people in through the gate. So another thing, one thing with the HOAs, this is something that's not like very common knowledge you deal with if you decide to buy without a broker or without an agent. If you buy a new property, that salesperson that represents the builder is definitely not gonna share that information. And one quick note, I mean, I know that many people, I mean, some people, not many people, some people think they can buy a home without a broker. Yes, they can. And I understand that some people can be very savvy, have awesome business background or real estate background, lending background. So if they can do it, yes. However, especially when you buy into a new community, you have to understand one thing. That salesperson there, no matter how nice he or she is, no matter how friendly he or she is, no matter how many Starbucks coffees they're gonna buy you, they represent the builder. So, and they do not have fiduciary responsibility as your broker. And another thing, I mean, there are other things. I think that it doesn't make sense to buy new construction without getting a good broker and getting a good agent to represent you. And plus, brokers and agents who sell, they know the market. They know how to negotiate. I mean, many things. But this is I'm drifting away from the topic. So one of the things that it's not like common knowledge that I have observed being a member of HOA boards, selling real estate, leasing real estate, and living within an HOA, is the fact that sometimes different builders build certain parts of the community. And I remember from college, years ago, I had a class, total quality management class, and my professor used to say, what's worse than one quality manager? Two quality managers. And he was so right. Now, when it applies to HOAs too. So when you have different builders building within a community, then you sometimes end up with not one HOA, but like 3 HOAs. And that can create, like really difficult situations. And on top of that, I mean, these 3 builders often build different type of housing. So the community I'm referring to, I don't want to use the specific name. I don't want anyone to complain about me discouraging people from buying in that community, but that specific community has homes that are worth probably around $1 million, homes, single family homes, 2,500 to 3,000 square foot homes. And they also have 2 townhomes, HOAs there. And those are homes worth $350,000. And naturally, people who were buying homes for $1 million, most of them were being bought almost all of them were being bought as primary residences. And the townhomes, many of the townhomes have been bought by investors. So here's the tension, there's something happened on the pool, it's finger pointing. The homeowners say it's all renters' fault, and then it's like all kinds of tensions. And then the boards, give into this, and then there are discussions between the boards and rules. Like they have just implemented a rule that if you rent, you have to pay the HOA like a deposit, and the way it's defined in the governing documents, it's really questionable. They basically there's like a suggestion that they can refund the deposit. Basically, if they feel like it. I mean, it's not exactly worded the way I've said it, but like it's really gives the flexibility to the HOA to hold on to your deposit even if nothing happens. Okay, so that's why, again, reading the documents, that's one of the things that you need to know. And also, if you want to invest, it's good to talk to a few people. You can call people who have invested, who own properties in that community. But also, I would always recommend a walk through the community. If you're buying for yourself to live in or as a vacation home, walk through the community, read people, ask them. You are gonna learn a lot. An example, very quickly, we were looking at pre-owned townhomes, and those were about 20 years old. We met a lady at the community, and she perfectly disclosed how some of the units had issues with mold, which is a big deal in Florida because of the HVAC system defects. And this applied only to I don't remember now whether it was inside units or out end units, but one of the two had a serious issue. So we ended up not buying that. My client ended up not buying within that community, and she actually bought a new construction and is very happy with it. So talking to people, walking through the community is a good thing. So bottom line for this point, I would try to stay away from communities where there are multiple HOAs. One HOA is enough. That's my take on it. You can think about it and decide as you according to your preferences. So another thing I would like to say, okay, let's talk about some fundamental thing: honesty of the management. I believe in people. I believe most people are honest. However, I'm watching at one of my monitors here the community, Hammocks Homeowners Association community, and their president. She got 7 years in state prison for fraud. Okay, then this is followed by 7-year probation, and she has been banned from working at any community forever. So I'm not saying that this is common. Most likely it is not. Definitely it is not. But these things happen, and can be tempting to some people, because let's say you have 500 homes in a community, and then there's let's say someone says, okay, it would be nice to get an extra $50,000 on the side. If that happens, then if you divide the 50,000 by 500 homes, then divided by 12 months, you're going to end up with $8 per month. People will hardly notice it in their on their HOA monthly bills. So I don't even want to talk about it. This is disgusting, but some people get tempted, and these things happen. You can if you're interested in this, you can Google it. You're gonna find many more cases. So most of the people are honest, and the board members volunteer, and I respect that, because this gets a lot of work. One of the important things is that if you live in an HOA community, you have to participate in the elections. You should, and it's your money. Your investment depends on how well the community is managed. So you should take a few minutes of your time and get people that are running in the elections and vote. One way or another, just vote, because this is, like I said, your property value and your money and your quality of life depends on it. Another thing is the Florida rule that requires the boards to be there. What if there is a community that no one really wants to, there are no people interested in joining the board? In Florida, it is required that an HOA board has at least 3 people and not more than 5 people. So if there are only 2 candidates or 2 people who are willing to volunteer their time, it can become problematic. Actually, I just got a letter from an attorney, talking about the situation, And if there is not enough volunteers from the community, the state can appoint professional managers to join the board and manage the community. And this doesn't come for free. It's actually very costly. Based on the letter from the attorney, if there are not enough volunteers, there can be a special assessment to pay for the services provided by the state. And the special assessment, the attorney estimated at $2,000 per homeowner to get the state managers. So this can as well happen. So when you're buying into an HOA community, there's no way to determine if there are going to be volunteers, but why not to join the board, and why not to contribute a little bit of your time too, for the community. And people can alternate. So there are the new people. I mean, after a year or two, you can leave the board, and then someone else can come in and fill your spot. Another thing is the competence of people joining the board. Let me say this: it varies. Okay, sometimes there is no one interested in serving as a director, and community gets people with all kinds of backgrounds, education, and experience. And then sometimes people vote for candidates because they're friends with the candidate, or because they want to build a playground or a pool for very, very specific, I would say, selfish reasons. I think that certain minimums need to be met, and it's not very complicated to be a board member and work well, but I would say that some experience, some business background, some real estate background, some qualifications can be beneficial, and communication skills. And the bottom line, the boards should be made of competent people working for the community. So, okay, I'm looking at my list here. Okay, the manager, I spoke so far about the HOA fees, how high they are or low they are, what you're getting for it. I spoke about the management company practices, and sometimes they can get very unreasonable. I spoke about the requirement to have between 3 and 5 people, and what happens if there are no volunteers. I talked about multiple HOAs within one community, and also the competence of the board people, the honesty of the management. So I think that's it. I think I've spent a lot of time. I hope it's valuable. I hope this is something that can be beneficial when you are buying into an HOA community. I mean, governing documents, read them, rental rules, make sure that they are clear to you and they work for you. Reserves, financial statements and reserves with the financial statements. Talking to people in the community is awesome. If you're investing, talking to a couple of people who already own and rent in the community. Most investors know how to analyze whether something is worth investing in or not, but that's beyond the topic of this video. Buying without an agent, especially when you're buying a new construction home, I see no reasons to do that. I would always prefer to work with a broker or a salesperson doing that. And what else? Subscribe to if you think it's valuable. Subscribe to my channel, please. And I'm happy to provide you more content. Good content, hopefully. And if you have any real estate questions, not necessarily you have to be interested in buying right now. If you have any questions regarding Florida real estate, give me a call, email me. I do respond to my calls and questions promptly, and I would be happy to hear from you if you have any comments or suggestions. I would appreciate your comments. This is a new channel and it always helps. It increases my reach. So subscribe to the channel, and that's it.